Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Tasneem. I'm the senior manager at 98 Percentile in the HR department. And today we did a wonderful drive with XLR. It was amazing right from the very beginning, from the very first day when I got in touch with them till today. I think it was an extremely smooth journey with them. There were multiple follow-ups done by the representatives in order to check that we would be what time would be coming, how many people would be coming, what vehicle we would get. To that extent they were so precise in giving all the information to us. It was extremely great to get associated with them and have a drive at XLR campus. So we are very happy that we got a chance to do this. Now, coming to the students, what XLR had, I think they were extremely enthusiastic. They were well prepared. They were aware of what they are coming for. I think there was some back-end preparation which did that was commendable. They also were very confident and they were open to any kind of thing we were asking them to do. That was I think the best part. Now, I really hope a very beautiful association with each one of them and XLR in future. We are really looking forward to have many more drives like this.
So today we were here for this IT boot camp, right? This technical drive, and at XLR. So it was a great experience, and I would feel that the students, they are the freshers, right? But it doesn't seems like that. So if I talk about their technical and cognitive ability, they all seems pretty good in that, and that's what I felt. And I guess they have been taught pretty well at XLR, so that's how they have performed good in their aptitude and the technical tests. So I wish them all the best, and it was a very great experience over here.
Hi, this is Patan, Technology Consulting Manager from 98th Percentile. We visited XLR for the campus placement drive and it went very well today. Miss Ambika, Miss Pragati, everyone received us greatly here and we had a lot of enjoyable time here. The students even had great experience with us. They were interactive, they had good aptitude and all the technological skills they showed. I think they were all well and we really appreciate their time that they spared to us and I think we will be doing a great job. We are expecting a lot of people to be hired from them. Let's see. It was a great experience altogether.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
From entering into the cyber tower to exiting out of this tower, the XLR team has been received me with such a care and pleasure.
I am the part of this XLR since 4 months. From the third month itself, they have conducted the placement sessions from the third month itself, and this is the fourth month, and this is the 98th percentile is one of the placement drive I have attended so far, and attending to this drive is such a good experience for me. All the HRs and the team made us feel very comfortable and confident.
XLR helped me a lot and I experienced a lot of things today. So I'm really hope to be placed in that company. I'm confident about that. Thank you.
Good evening, all. Good evening, Aishwarya ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
You can start the session.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, hi everyone. Hope I am audible to all. Fine. So, welcome back to the session. So, in the last class, we were discussing about information gathering tool that we were discussing about the network mapper, right? So, in this sessions, we would be learning about the broken access control. That is, we would discuss about an unauthorized access to a sensitive data in a web application. So, in a web applications, how to get access to a sensitive data, that is, as an attacker point we would be discussing, and then we would be, what is an objective we would be here to discuss is, we would be identifying and exploiting the broken access control vulnerabilities in a web application that is going to manage the customer data or any sensitive data, and the actions which we are going to perform is logging to a web application as a regular user. We would be attempting to access the restricted URLs manually. We would be document any unauthorized access to sensitive data, implement a proper role-based access control to secure the application, and we would also verify the effectiveness of the implemented control through retesting. Okay, this is what we would be discussing in this session. So before that, we need to know what exactly a role of broken access control. Okay, and if you have a look here, previous slide. So we were like last week, we were having an understanding about the web application security, the top 10 vulnerabilities, right? So we were discussing about the broken access control. So can you all just recall what we have learned in the broken access control? Can you just quickly recall and let me know what you understand, what you understood or any points you remember in the broken access control? Yes, user access the admin restricted data. Okay. Yes. Any other points which you want to add it up? Okay, no point. Fine. So we'll have a look over here. So access control is nothing but when you give access to the user. Access control is when you restrict the data from the unauthorized user. For example, I would be sharing my drive link to you. Okay. So I should know like to whom I'm giving an access. Okay. I should not make it to public until and unless the data has been saved. Right. I want to share some document to you. What I would be doing, I should know you first, and then I should be giving there are different types of permissions have been there. That is read permission, write permission, view permission, right? Writers edit permission. So those based on that, I would be creating a document and sending to you. Okay. So access control is you give an access who should be seeing or looking into the data, who should modify the data, who should be updating the data. Okay. So access granted, access denied. Where an unauthorized access, I should be denying it. In the Zoom meeting, what happened? Not everybody would be able to log in, right? Those who have an access, that those who have a meeting ID, only they would be able to log into. That is also one type of access control. Okay. Now coming to broken access control, when you don't give an access, when you don't control, when you don't restrict your application from an unauthorized access, a broken access control would happen. It is one of the vulnerability. So based on the weakness, based on what? Based on the restrictions or based on the access control which you have not provided or based on the poor access control, what happens? A broken authentication attack would happen. So we would be discussing how this broken access control would be performed in the real time. Okay. And here, if you see here, there are different types of permission lists are in there. As I told you, can read, can edit, can and cannot delete. Okay. So for example, an authentication user have been there. An authentication user is the one, a legal user, you can tell, or authorized user. Okay. They have provided the user credentials and then they were able to log into your website. And when they log into your website or when they viewing or when they received your file, okay, there are different types of modes are being used. You have a view record, edit record, and delete record. So you will be giving a permission whether authenticator user need to read, need to edit, or need to delete it. So based on that, you would be giving a permission list. Permission list is going to be permission granted or it can be denied. Okay. So we'll just look into the practicals now. So I'll go back to the Kali Linux. Okay. Same thing. We would be using the try hack me. And in the try hack me, I want you all just to go ahead and search for broken access control. Broken access control. Okay. Yeah. So in the search option, if you search for broken access control, I would search in broken access control and give a enter. And here is a mission. I already have opened it. Okay. So let us have an understanding from here also. We have few theories. Let us try to understand this. So I'll just I'll complete this. We have a broken access control in introductions. Okay. So what is access control is? Access control is who should be looking into your data, who should access your data. That is what is an access control is all about. So you have a website or you have some document being created. Okay. So you are going to given access to the user, whether it's going to be access granted or access denied. Okay, it can be access granted or access denied. So access control is a security mechanism which is used to control, okay, a user or a system, and are allowed to access a particular resource in an applications or a system. Okay, there are different types of access controls are being used. We have DAC, discretionary access control. So this is DAC is basically is one type of access control. What happens? Only the owner that is an access control, the resource owner. For example, I have created a document, okay, or in organizations have sent you a laptop. When you start working, what did they do? They issue the laptop. They provide you the laptop. So the admin would be having the rights, like what application you should be able to see, what you need to download, okay, what is the uh, they would be able to track whatever the activity you do it. Okay, so that would be the resource owner or administration or an administrator would be defining what type of access that you need to be provided and what type of action that need to be performed. Okay, that is what is DAC is all about. So a owner, and you have a database. Okay, so the owner would be telling who should have an access to the database, specify the user or groups within specific access. Okay, that is what is DAC is all about. Then we have a MAC. MAC is mandatory access control. Mandatory access control is basically, any idea about the MAC? Okay, so MAC is mandatory access control is a type of access control. The access to resources determined by a set of predefined rules or policy that are enforced by a system. MAC is commonly used a highly secure environment such as government, military systems. Okay, for example, you cannot go ahead and do a pen testing for a government website. Okay, you can do a pen testing for other applications like random applications. You can go ahead and do a pen test and you can report them. This is the loophole and this is what happened, but you cannot directly do it for the government applications. Okay, because for government application only the set of, okay, the uh, set of securities leads would be able to do it. Not everybody would be doing. So this way, what happens? It is given a high security. Okay, there would be a set of rules that need to be followed. Okay, there a set of policies that need to be followed, and like when you want to perform some activity, you should be legal to do that. Only then you can go ahead and perform the pen test. Okay, so if you see here, we have an administrator. An administrator has a different types of levels users will be having, and that levels, and then it also give a confidential levels. Okay, what type of data they need to perform. First, they are legal or not. Okay, they have the right to work on this organization or not. Then they would be given some sort of credentials based on the role, and then we would be giving an access to the operating system, where that in the operating system they would be deciding on access based on the classification and the category. Okay, that is what the MAC is all about. Understood? Then we have a role-based access control. Role-based access control is nothing but based on your role. Okay, user are assigned roles that define their level of access to the resources. That means based on your access, what is the actions you're going to perform. So I am a trainer. So currently I have an access to share my screen and to unmute myself and to speak. As a student, you will not be able to unmute yourself because the access need to be performed by the host. So based on the role, an access would be performed. Okay, we have a user. Okay, user would be having different types of roles, and based on the roles, a permission is going to be provided. And the permission going to have different types of privileges. Like the privileges is going to be admin privileges, Am I audible? Okay. So coming back with the role-based access. So based on the role, you will be, thank you. So you would be performed, you would be given some privileges, and based on that, you would be performing some activity. Okay. Then we have an attribute-based access control. So attribute-based access control, such as user role, time of the date, location, device. Okay, this is going to be an attribute-based access control. We have a subject, what type of attribute mechanism. It is going to be a policy decision point. Okay, we would have a policy. Based on that, we would be providing an access. Now coming to the broken access control. Broken access control is going to deal with two different types. One is horizontal privilege escalation, vertical privilege escalations. So in horizontal Okay. Now, in the horizontal escalations, what happens? A regular user can access another user's account. Okay, a regular users would be accessing another user ID in the directly in the URL. When you don't sanitize, when you don't what is that? Give a role-based access. What happens? You will be able to manipulate somebody's IDs into your URL. So we'll be having a look how this horizontal and vertical escalations are going to perform. Okay. And then you have insufficient access control checks that is going to perform directly. Like checks are not performed correctly or consistently, allowing an attacker to bypass. This bypass, we will have a look into it. How do you bypass it? So by providing some logging, when you give logging directly, it would be sometimes what happened, instead of using page, just using a login dot practical how this is going to work. And then we have in based on this, you'll be exploiting the data. For example, so based on that, so you send a website. Okay, so if you have a look here, this is a website. So this website has HTTPS. We need to know what type of protocol they're using, and then the website name, and followed with the user. What is this user and ID equals to 100? It is a query, or you can tell it's a path. So attacker would be changing the ID. So this ID is equals to 100. They would be changing to 101, 102. Okay. When an attacker would be doing that, the victim with the user ID 102 information is returned to the attacker. Okay, so the victim is you and I are the victim. What happens is, if the user is trying to manipulate the references on the URL, based on that, the informations of a specific user's information would be tracked and be manipulated. So the request is sent to a valid user. So the 102 user would be a victim. whose data has been stealed or whose data has been manipulated. Got an idea from me? So any doubts? Everybody got an idea what is broken access control and what are the different types of controls are being used? Great. Now let us have a look into uh, the practical on it. Okay, so you have different questions related to it. What is IDOR? We will try to resolve in the end of the class. Okay, first we'll look into the practical. If we have time, we'll go ahead and try to submit this answers. So let us try to deploy the machines. So how do we deploy it? In the last class we have done, right? Yes, we will try to deploy the machine by connecting to the website. So you have two different ways. I can go ahead and try to use a start attack box. I'll go ahead and use an attack box, or you can use a Kali Linux also. Anything is fine. So this time I'll show you how to use a attack box directly on your Tri-Hackney. Okay, so this would take a minute. So 107 seconds. So we'll just wait for it. In the meantime, we'll see how can we deploy it. So we'll try to see an application. What are we going to see is we'll have a look into an application. Okay, there would be some web-based web applications would be created. Let us have a understanding how a application being created and how can we know the vulnerabilities. Okay, based on the vulnerability can be found out with the help of information gathering tool. It can be done with the help of Nmap. You can also use a Burp Suite to do that. Okay, Burp Suite is you get to know what type of request and response are being sent. So currently we would be using the Burp Suite to do that. So first is we would be deploying the missions. Then we will try to access the web application by using a attack box or using a Kali Linux. Okay, access the web application into your Kali Linux, and then we would be getting to know the IP address. Based on the IP address, we will see what type of application being created based on the URL we can tell. This next thing is we will try to gather as much of informations we have as we will try to get access to the mission. After that, we would get to know what type of vulnerabilities, what are the weakness or the information we can gather up. Based on the information, whatever we have gathered up, we will try to exploit it. Okay, we'll try to exploit it. Exploit is nothing but attack. And then we try to mitigate it. Mitigate it means recommendations. How do we control those activity or the attacks, whatever is occurring? How do we control it? The last step is we'll try to mitigate those steps. So one by one, we'll have a look into it. Okay, this is an attack box. Okay, I have an attack box. Now what I'll do is I will just go ahead and minimize this, and I would maximize this. You have here maximize view when full screen. I'll try to view when in the full screen mode, and here I will try to minimize it. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So the first step, what we are going to do, we'll try to access the application by giving the URL. Okay. We will be using the URL where let me get the URL. Okay, here you go with the URL. Okay, there is a URL being provided that is an IP address. Okay, HTTP colon. HTTP is a protocol and followed with the IP address. Now let me just copy this URL, move back to my browser. Okay, I'll go open a new tab. I'll try to paste this. I'll try to paste this and give an enter option. Don't take so much time. Copy this URL, go back to the browser and give an enter. Let me try to terminate and try to open it again, terminate the machine. Then I'll start the machine. We need to wait for a minute again. It shouldn't take so long time. Okay, 6 seconds left, so it will be quick now. That we should be getting an IP address. So I got an IP address and that has been updated over here. I'll just copy this URL again, copy it, and I would go to here. Okay, I need to give a try over here. I was giving outside, that is the issue. Okay, I have to give a try over here. So I'll just open my Firefox. Okay, because I'm using an attack box right now, right? I am using a Kali Linux Firefox, and that is the reason I wasn't getting the option. So here is the browser. I'll go ahead and try to paste the URL over here. Whatever the one which I have copied from here. I have to paste it up here. It's http:// the port number 10.10.184 184.256 232 232. I'll give an enter option. Four dot 184.232. Let me close it and try to open it again. So finally we got it. Okay. Sometimes the issue is in the browser. We need to reload the application. So when I have given the IP address that is 10.10.184.232, I got some web applications that is welcome to vulnerable and there is a simple form which is being created in the application. What is it is telling create an account. We have a first name, we have a last name, email ID, password, re-entered. So let us go ahead and try to register. Okay. Let us try to go ahead and try to register to the application. So I'll use the first name as my name. Okay, right here. And the last name, I'll just make it as A again. Email ID, randomly I'll give some email ID, abc@gmail.com. And then the password is, I'll give randomly 12345. And here also I'll give 12345. Okay, now I'll create an account. It's still registration is successful. Now I need to know what are the activities happening. Okay, how is the request is being sent, how am I getting the response, those activity. To make a track of those activity, what I'll do, I'll use a burp suite. Burp suite is basically a intermediator, you can tell, or an interface, you can tell, it's a proxy, you can tell, between the client and the server, right? If you want to modify any activity before you send some request to your client, to your server, if you want to do any changes, or if you want to know how the request and what type of response you're getting, we would be using a burp suite. So we have a burp suite in the TryHackMe itself. So I'll just go ahead and turn on the burp suite so that I would be able to track whatever the activity is happening within the same. So let me turn on the burp suite. I would just click on next. Okay, now we'll try to maximize the screen. And we all know that we have a proxy, which is, I will turn on the intercept. Intercept on is help you to be acting as an intermediary between the client and the server. So I'll be keep intercept out, and I would track all the HTTP history, all the HTTP requests which is going on. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead to the login page, back again to the login page. I'll try to minimize the screen here. Okay, let me try to provide my email ID, abc@gmail.com. And then I would go ahead and provide my password, 12345. Okay, submit. And here, what is happening? Okay, I have to select the mode as well. Okay, if you're not speaking, please be on mute. Okay, I would be selecting the mode here. We have a proxy mode. Currently, it is disabled. I'll go to burp mode. Okay, I'll go back. Okay, here I'll keep it as burp. Okay, because I need to keep a track on all the HTTP requests. So I'll use a burp, and I'll go ahead and provide my email ID and the password. Email ID I will give abc@gmail.com, and then the password I will just make it as 12345. Okay, and click on submit. Okay, registration is successful. And in the meantime, I'll go to the burp suite and have a look into the application. Minimize it. Burp suite. See here, whatever the data we have sent, you're getting in the post method. Post this, you're trying to send the informations to the server. You're trying to like giving you have, as a user, you have provided an input. That input you're trying to transfer it to the server, right? There are different types of HTTP requests have been there. We have get request, post, put, option, head. There are various different requests are being used. get is retrieving the data. That means you're getting the information from the server. Post it, you're trying to send the data, transferring the data to the server. Let me try to send this information to the repeater. Repeater is helping you to if you want to do any manipulations or modification, if you want to do on the request part. This is a request. Okay. This, if I want to modify it, I would be sending it to repeater. Okay. Repeater I'll send. And I have an option here in the repeater. See here, what type of request it is? Post, API request, and the file is in the function.php file. Okay. Let me, and you know, the username, whatever we have provided is abc@gmail.com, and the password is 1234, and the function here is a login function. Okay. And we also have PHP session ID. So let me send this request and see what type of response I get. So I'll send, and the response would be given over here. You'll be able to get a response towards your left hand side. Here in the response, you can have gather as many information you wanted. So if you see, they're using HTTP protocol. They're using what type of protocol? HTTP protocol, and they're using a server as a Apache server. So they're using the Linux based server. Okay. And then they're using expires on so and so date. Fine. And what else is being used? Okay, they're using a PHP. Okay, PHP is a backend programming language which helps you in connecting to the database for creating up the server. They're using a PHP, and they're also using the data. So whatever I have stored, the registration form we have created and the information I have given, right? All those informations have been created over here. If you see here, first name, last name, okay, those information is also available. And the data are written in terms of JavaScript object notation, JSON format. Okay. So usually what happens is whenever you're trying to store or send the data to the server, there would be different formats the data can be sent. One of the format is the JSON format that is based on the JavaScript, okay, object notation, where the data are going to be written in terms of key values. Key. So if you see, the first name is a key, and the value which is stored to the first name, my name is the value which is stored to the key. Okay. And JavaScript object notation is a lightweight data. It would be easy for us to transfer the data from the client in the server. And additionally, we also see here there is a redirect link. Okay. When they don't sanitize, when they don't restrict the data, when they don't what is that? Give access. They're already giving. So the vulnerability here, if you have a look into here, it is telling you can redirect the link when you give a dashboard.php is admin as false. By default, there is a condition is false. You can make it true, and they're giving, we can see it, right? There is a redirect link which has been available. So let me go ahead to my browser. Here, I'll just turn on the proxy. Okay. Whatever the information I wanted, I have gathered those information. So now I'll turn off the intercept, go back to my browser. Okay. And try to minimize this and go back to my Firefox and have a look here. If you see, welcome Aishwarya, there is an announcement. They're giving a status update test. Okay. By admin. See here, by admin, an application building in progress. Report the bugs, and you are able to see the user's information. Those who have logged in, those names I'm able to see, email address I'm able to see. So this is also one vulnerability, right? Only as I am a user, only my email ID should be accessed. Why should I see other users' email ID? So this is also one vulnerability where I'm not sanitizing, where I'm not encrypting, nor I'm just restricting the data. Okay. And along with that, okay, when I have using a burp suite, and I also figured it out, there was a dashboard. Currently, if you see your URL, yes, when I have given an email ID, when I have given a targeted IP address, and first I have registered to an application. Later on, I logged in. When I've logged in, I were able to get access to the dashboard file, right? That's dashboard applications. Now, along with that, it also in the verb suite, we got an option called you can redirect to your application by redirecting to the dashboard.php. So I'll just copy this data. Okay. Dashboard.php is admin is false. Currently, the application you would not be able to access the admin related information. So if you want to complete this lab, okay, how do you complete it? By providing the flag. Okay, you would be providing the flags. Here is something called as flag is the flag data would be hidden anywhere in the application. So you need to figure it out what type of attacks you would be performing and how do you get those flag is the task over here. Okay, now again going back here, I would copy this URL and I'm going to paste it on my where will I paste this dashboard.php, this path or reference, where can I provide this? Any idea? Yes, everybody getting the point? What are we understanding? So, as I told you, now I need to find out the flag. I need to find out the flag. That is the sensitive information in your application. I need to find out. Now I got in, what is that? Information that you can redirect the link to the dashboard.php and where is admin is false. Now, where can I use this data? Here, if you have a look, this website, where can I use it? Can I use it in the URL or somewhere in the applications? Can I use it? So look into this and let me know. No idea? I can give it in the URL because I already have a dashboard.php, right? Along with that, the URL which I have copied from the website, can I paste and see what happens? Can I see what happens when I give this dashboard.php? Along with that, I'm going to use a path, the reference I'm going to give. When I give an enter option, let me see what exactly I get from here. Is the proxy turned on? Let me have a look in the proxy as well. Actually, it's turned off. Okay, this request is not being forwarded now. It's done. That again. Let me reload it. Okay, this is how you get it. Okay, so instead of admin equals to false, can I change it to true and see what exactly we would be getting? And I make it instead of false, I'll just make it to true and have a look like on the data. See, when I give true, okay, when I have given a true and I were able to access the admin page, which I was not supposed to get access. This is a privilege escalation. Okay, privilege escalation. We are using what type of privileges? Yes, you're going to tell me horizontal or vertical privileges. Okay, I'm able to get access to other users' information as well. Okay, what type of email ID and admin, right? I'm able to use informations of other users. What is authentication level? Okay, if I want to do a delete, I can go ahead and delete it also. See, save changes. Basically, I'm trying to modify the applications into your web page. By I've found out the vulnerability and now I'm going to exploit it. How do I exploit it? I can go ahead and delete it. I can go ahead and delete, click on save changes, you would be able to delete it. Okay, if you want to do undo changes, you can undo it. Okay, this way you can perform the activity. And now we also find out the flag value. So here, this is a flag value which I was talking about. There is some sensitive information where I'm able to track. So now if you want to complete the lab, we would be providing this flag value in your lab Okay, you have different set of questions. You need to answer those questions by providing like whatever the information is being asked. Based on that, you provide an answer. If it is correct, then you will be able to complete the lab. Understood all? What are we doing here? Right? Now tell me, what were the drawbacks? What were the vulnerabilities? How are we going to mitigate those things? In this lab, what all the key points we have seen? What were the vulnerabilities? First thing, what were the vulnerabilities? Secondly, how did we exploit it? How can we, uh, what is that? How can we keep it secure? One by one, if you have understood, you would be able to answer it. Email, okay, email, okay, by phishing. But we are not doing anything now. In the phishing, what happens is you would be sending a URL. Okay, it would look like legal, but it is a illegal URL you send and tell ma'am, this is a URL which this is a URL. Sorry, this is a link. Kindly open this and download it. But that URL is not a legal one. But we are not doing anything such as a phishing attack. No? Email exploiting we are doing. Okay, but how are we doing? First thing, as a user, first the first vulnerability if you see, it was not a role-based access was not being provided, right? So it is very important to provide the access based on the user. If you see, there was a use cases like on the broken access control. What happened is one student failed the exam. Okay, in the, some university, that student failed, like could not clear up the exam. What he did on the website, he figured out there was a vulnerability that they were not using a role-based access control. That he was able to see the other users' result, and along with that, he were able to modify it. As currently you see here, this is a result. Okay, I'm able to see other users' result. First thing, only I should not give access to view other users. So you need to give a what type of request? I need to authenticate it, right? We need to provide an authentication so that I would be able to see only the specific user, like their roll number they need to give. Okay, their roll number, their date of birth, or phone number. Only then they would be able to access your result. Okay, that is one way. Now, currently, they have been updated for the SLC and all. They need to give their phone numbers, they need to give the father names, they need to give their names. Only then they would be able to see the result. So, it previously and all, anybody were able to see the result. But currently, only if you know the information, so only if you have the credentials, you would be able to get access to the code. Okay. And other thing is, I were able to modify the data in the website. Okay, in the website, I were able to modify the data. I were completely deleting the data that would be falling in the database data modification, right? So we need to restrict the data from the user one point. The other thing is we need to give an access based on the role. That access can be a MAC access, or it can be DAC, or it can be a role-based access, attribute access. We have discussed one by one, right? Based on that. And then we need to restrict the data by giving a privilege access. An admin user, okay? What an admin user need to do? What does a normal user need to perform? So based on the roles, you need to give a permissions, okay? Understood, everybody? What we did here? Users should also have a minimum level of access necessary to perform their job function. Not everybody should perform all the activity. Okay. Regularly, we need to review an application and see what type of permission has been given. And then we need to use a redirecting. We should not use any indirect reference. So using the reference only, I got to know there was an application or login page is available. So they need to, what is it, sanitize and validate what type of URL they are trying to provide. That is secure object references. So a random value should not be added and they should not be able to redirect to any page. That also was the one of the biggest vulnerability, which using that only we were able to exploit into our applications. Fine. So we have few more minutes. What we will do is we will go ahead and try to provide the answer to it. Okay. Exploiting the web applications. Okay. Try to figure out the answer. What kind of privilege escalation happened after accessing an admin.php? Can you just tell me what type of privilege access were happening when we were giving an admin access? So was it as a role-based access happened, or it is an attribute-based access happened? What type of access? No, this was like, okay, is it vertical escalation? So they're talking about the privilege escalation. Is it vertical or horizontal? Vertical is getting into the higher, like getting access to the admin page itself. Horizontal is you're trying to get access to the other users' informations. So here in the privilege escalation, what type of, is it a vertical or horizontal? Okay. A regular user can access administrative functions by manipulating a hidden form, okay, on the URL. So regular user can use an user account by changing the user's ID. We do not change any ID currently. We were trying to manipulate the data. Okay, so it is not a horizontal, it is a vertical, correct? It is a vertical escalation because we were trying to access the admin page and then we were doing a manipulation, modifying the data. We were not changing any ID name. I was not looking to see here. If you see an admin, so here you have different user. So I were not able to go into a specific user and I were not able to do that. Okay, I were not changing the ID name and looking into the credentials of the specific user. Rather, I will be trying to modify the admin page itself. So it is a vertical privileges. Exploiting the web applications. So vertical. Okay. What I'll do, I'll click on submit. If it is correct, then you would be getting the point. I have to then the browser. I need to go and change this. Normal disable. Come back. The application were on for longer time, right? So that is why it is asking for a reload. No problem. It's loading the ROMs. Okay, let it load. Okay, in the meantime, everybody got an idea what we did in today's class. In the next session, we will be understanding about how do we get access to the sensitive data exposure due to weak encryption. So this is going to be related to cryptography, but we will not be doing an activity how to encrypt. We already have seen an encryption, decryption, But here, using the lab, how do we get access to the data? Okay, how to get like using an encryption method also, how do we going to decrypt and see the data? Okay, that is what we are going to see. That is identifying and mitigating the risk of weak encryption method used in the web applications and so on. Fine. I'll stop sharing. Let me know if you have any doubts. We can have a QA. Stop share. So everybody, did you give a try in logging into the Try Hackney? Did you figure it out? Did you try to work on any labs? Those were able to do it, great. Those have not yet started, I would tell you all to just start it. If you really want to be into the field of ethical hacking, if you want to work on the pen testing, then yeah, this would be the best platform where you would get different hands-on. Okay, you would have an exposure on the practical. Practical is very important than the theory. Theory, yeah, you need to understand the concept, and then you can implement it. When you work on practically, you will be having many doubts, you will have many things to learn. Okay, while performing practical, you learn many things. So for the best platforms, you can use TryAcme, you can use HackTheBox, you can use the CodeFigure. CodeFigure is the best platform also. Okay, you have every theory, step-by-step procedure, how you need to perform the labs and how to clear it up also you have it, right? Okay then, so I would wind up.
Yes, ma'am, you can wind up for the day. So we'll meet tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you everybody.
Yeah, thank you, students. Thank you all.